Botswana is a unique country in the center of southern Africa. It's unique both for its long history of democratic governance since independence in 1966, as well as for its vast mineral wealth underpinned by the diamond industry. The government has taken a lot of the wealth from diamonds and channeled that towards health, education, and other services aimed at development. However, it is now looking to diversify the economy. We're here to explore the unique opportunities that this vast country has to offer. So join me, Adrian Klasa, as I go on location. Known for its mineral wealth and nature reserves such as the Okavango Delta, this is the world's most sparsely populated country. At independence, it was also one of the world's poorest. Progress has been made since then. Botswana has achieved steady growth and become a middle-income country. However, stubborn pockets of poverty remain, particularly in remote, rural areas. With unemployment still high, the government is now looking to promote a broader range of sectors. The Botswana Investment and Trade Center is the agency charged with helping drive the country's economic development and diversification efforts through investment attraction. Its one-stop service center assists foreign investors with setting up in Botswana.
We found it fitting to come up with a targeted program to show people around the world what Botswana is, what we stand for, and that we are very different as a country to the rest of Africa. We have a very long track record of political and economic stability. All the macroeconomic fundamentals compared to the rest of SADC and Southern Africa are very strong. From a location point of view, it makes a lot of sense, for investors to really consider Botswana.
We have a competitive advantage in that, our country is one of the least corrupt in the continent, and we find that many of the investors, when they think about Africa, they are egged out by issues of corruption, issues of poor governance, issues of bad institutions, all of which you find to be very different in Botswana. We have good institutions. We've worked on building good institutions since independence.
Indeed, Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index for 2018 ranks Botswana 34th out of 180 countries globally for the cleanness of its public sector, one of only 2 African countries to appear in the top 40. With this solid foundation to work from, diversification is now the watchword across the government. Creating quality jobs for young people is the priority.
In order to deal with youth unemployment, it's a cross-cutting issue. You have to deal with it at the highest level and ensure that every ministry, every government department and the private sector are aware of what the transformation agenda is and that they know what their role is supposed to be.
With such vast mineral wealth, increasing Botswana's role in the mining industry's value chains is seen as low-hanging fruit.
We're still looking around mining, and you may be surprised. Why mining? Because you've been trying to diversify away from mining. For us, it's about beneficiation. How much of the downstream processing can we retain in Botswana?
Botswana really is the beating heart of De Beers Group. De Beers has been in Botswana for 50 years, and we are in an equal partnership with the people of Botswana. It's been a remarkable journey for us. The 2 great diamond mines of Botswana, REUPLOAD and Zwaneng, were both found in the late 60s and early 70s. And since then, it's been a gradual progression of Botswana along the diamond value chain, from exploration through to mining, then the sorting of diamonds, the aggregation of diamonds, the sale of diamonds, and we're really proud today the retailing of diamonds to consumers in Botswana.
The economy of Botswana depends on the diamond industry, and mining is a big sector over here.
But it creates a lot of jobs at the same time, and they're working towards diversification, from what I understand.
Indeed, and that's why they want us to add more value to the rough diamonds here and then send it out rather than just sending the rough away from the country.
De Beers sells around about 35 million carats of rough diamonds every year to some of the world's great diamantaires who buy them and cut and polish them to sell on to consumers around the world. And all of those sales to those diamantaires now happen in Botswana. They have since 2013, when we moved all of our sales operations from London to Botswana. And so 10 times a year, every 5 weeks, we have the world's great diamantaires come from India, come from Israel, come from New York, come from China, come from Antwerp, into Botswana which has really become a center of gravity for the diamond world.
So we have got almost about 200 locals here, and we have about 50 odd expats who are here to train the locals and develop the skills and try to get a good production out of it. Setting up of business wasn't a challenge. It was availability of skilled labor which was a major challenge for us. That is why we brought in the expats from India and to transfer the skill and development of the local people. So now that has become our strength eventually.
Capturing more value from mining is only part of the story. As in other countries across Africa, manufacturing is another major focus. Economists and policymakers are keen to encourage manufacturing as a way of creating jobs and keeping more wealth here at home. Botswana is no exception. We visited a car parts manufacturing plant as well as a textile mill to see the kind of work that they do every day.
Outside of the extractive industries, we're also looking at high value-add industries. We have had a few pockets of automotive component industries here that we're really looking at developing.
We're here to visit Pastec, an automotive component manufacturer recently relocated across the border from South Africa to Botswana.
We manufacture wiring harnesses for the automotive industry. Those wiring harnesses are actually taken across border, exported into South Africa. Volkswagen in Port Elizabeth and Renault and Nissan in Rosslyn, just outside Pretoria. So those are our three main customers. We've got a training center where at the induction stages people are actually identified and they go through the full induction process, and then before they go onto the lines they actually go through a whole training process where they are taught all the intricacies in terms of wiring harnesses, cutting and crimping, the manufacturing process, and they are continually evaluated on a skills matrix where we have ILU charts up when people are actually maintained to a certain skill level.
I asked Willem why Pastec had chosen to relocate to Botswana.
It's labour stability, it's got a pro-business framework. Safety and security in Botswana is extremely well. It actually ranks about third in Africa. We actually import all our products through the South African ports. It gets trucked into Botswana, and there's really no issues in terms of the whole logistics chain is actually quite well maintained. So the roads are in good condition. So whatever we bring in here is virtually instantaneously available for us.
For manufacturing, generally it's a corporate tax rate of about 15%, but we do have special economic zone, and one of the special economic zone is in the Selebi-Piqua area. That's towards the eastern part of the country, at the Horn, but not the Ethiopian Horn. And that one, the tax rate is about 5% for the first 5 years and then 10% thereafter. So that is one of our lowest tax rates that we offer.
Industrial manufacturing is one piece of the puzzle. Agro-processing is another important subsector and one that is essential to spurring job creation in rural areas. The beef industry in Botswana is big business. The country boasts about 2.5 to 2.8 million heads of cattle. But other segments of agro-processing are growing as well.
We produce cold press sunflower cooking oil, and we also produce bread. We are distributing all over Botswana. You can find our products from Woolies, Woolworth, Superspars, Choppies, Sifelana, and etc.
We have a couple of businesses. Our main line of business is natural resources. And natural resources is basically the devil's claw, which you see behind me. It is a traditional medicine, well known for ailments like arthritis and rheumatism. It's also good for generally cleaning the system. In Europe, this year we will be exporting 50,000 kg, which is 4 big containers. We source it from the Kalahari, and really the Kalahari, deep Kalahari, I would say, the sandy Kalahari. This year we sourced it from 35 villages and settlement in the Kalahari. And this is where I would say the poorest people live.
Looking at our country, we rely so much in beef and diamond. Now, if we are going to be encouraging farmers to plow sunflower seeds, we are creating employment. Honestly speaking, the government has done their best. They are promoting us and they are promoting young farmers. As we speak right now, I saw a certain advert where Agriculture Marketing Board are advertising for people to plant more sunflower seeds so that we are able to crush our oil.
I think Botswana is a country in the region where it is pretty easy to do business. I'm not saying it's a joyride, yeah, but it is easier than many of the other countries in terms of how the government operates. I would say transparency of how you can work here. And yeah, I think generally the operating environment is pretty good.
While industry continues to grow, outside of the mining sector, services drive the Botswanan economy. Boasting natural wonders including Chobe National Park and the Okavango Delta, the tourism sector has long been a pillar of the Botswanan economy. However, business and financial services now account for about 17% of GDP. The financial sector in Botswana is still relatively small, reflecting the small size of this market of 2 million people. That being said, some attractive incentives are on offer for those who join the financial center, and there is a capital market hosted here in Gaborone.
We're also looking at the services, and in the service industry, it includes the finance sector and the tourism industry as well. But around the financial sector, we have the IFSC that's in place to try to stimulate that.
We don't have exchange controls. We have very strong sovereign credit ratings. It becomes very easy for somebody to raise their capital from a stable base like Botswana.
We're going to be speaking to REUPLOAD Tumelo, Executive Director of Affinitas, about running his Pan-African investment firm from right here in Gaborone.
We're a Pan-African investment holding company, and our business model is to provide the seed capital and start up our own businesses across the continent. We've got an events management business as well, which are looking at Africa as a whole and setting up events across Africa. So we are sector agnostic. We are really keen on our main sectors of interest would be where you can leverage off Africa's growing population and expected growth in Africa's middle income class. There was a number of attractions to basing ourselves in Botswana. One is if you're going to do business across Africa, Botswana offers a developed and stable banking system, which allows us to move funds between ourselves and our investee businesses as and when required, or funds flowing back from the investee businesses to head office. We are listed on the Botswana Stock Exchange. So that means our shareholders who are not based in Botswana, who are not resident in Botswana, are able to repatriate their profits very easily from Botswana. And we also saw the IFSC being a very attractive place to domicile our business or get accreditation to the Botswana IFSC. One of the advantages of the Botswana IFSC is just the efficient tax structure, which allows the flow of dividends from the investee business to the ultimate beneficiaries being our shareholders.
Technology and ICT are also important as the African region's young, digitally savvy generation grows businesses on the back of improving digital infrastructure.
We've made a significant investment as a country into laying of the fiber optics so that you can then enable ICT operations. But then out of these ICT platforms, you can run some sectors like your business process outsourcing and call centers, particularly to answer the call of creating jobs for the youth. A one call center can come here and employ up to 3,000.
ICT is contributing about 2% to GDP. I'm here at Brostorn Group in the capital, Gaborone, and I'm going to speak to founder and CEO Martin Stimela.
We've come up with innovative solutions for Africans, and we have over 700,000 people that use our platforms, and the idea is to connect the unconnected. We connect governments and merchants to the underserved population. We have like Gaborone, which is where you are, where we have good digital infrastructure, but the minute you move out of Gaborone, it becomes bad. That is the opportunity, and that's where Brostorn comes in, developing relevant solutions for Africa. We're moving into Madagascar, we're moving into the DRC, we're moving into Guinea. Those are the 3 countries that I can give you that we've got confirmation. We partner with mobile networks. We're looking for organizations that have huge databases, and all we do is plug into those organizations and into that infrastructure. So we can do everything remotely from Botswana and, deliver our products that way. I think the challenges are the opportunities. We are still a relatively young country, as well as our startup scene. The ecosystem is quite small, but it's growing. And if you look at us, we are first generation entrepreneurs.
Botswana's domestic market may be smaller than some, but the country offers access to a wide range of other markets for foreign investors through trade agreements.
So in the SADC region, we have a free trade area that includes about 15 countries. And then we also have SACU, which is 5 countries, Botswana, South Africa, Namibia, Swaziland, and Lesotho. And we have recently signed onto the AfCFTA, so the African Free Trade Agreement. And that will really open up Botswana to the rest of the continent, including some of the biggest economies of Egypt Egypt and in West Africa, Ghana and so forth. Botswana has really good relations with a lot of countries outside of the African continent, and we are party to the AGOA with the US, and we have an agreement with Mercosur in Latin America, and we are building our relations with China as well.
From a distribution point of view, it becomes very, very convenient to access any country in the SADC region from Botswana. So that is why, if you look at what we are doing now, government is investing quite heavily in infrastructure development that facilitates ease of access to these other countries so that we can entrench our positioning for transport and logistics.
I think Botswana is a destination of choice. The people here are very pro-business. They want to do business. They look after the infrastructure. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as Plastic is concerned, this is really an ideal position. And we are very close to major markets in South Africa as well. We are literally 5 kilometers away from the border.
The aim is just to ensure that doing business in Botswana is a lot easier, and that your investments, especially in the extractive industries that are so high, that they are protected, and you can be guaranteed that you can take your profits back home or go reinvest them elsewhere. But we do encourage that there be reinvestment in Botswana. We don't have any exchange controls, which has boded well for our economy. We haven't seen any flight of capital. Instead, because of the flexible environment, people do find the need to just reinvest domestically.
A beautiful country full of potential, it's clear that Botswana is moving beyond the diamond industry. From manufacturing to ICT, financial services to agro-processing, the government is an eager partner for investors who want to do business here. This is a country that mixes modern amenities with tradition and vast, beautiful landscapes. Its long history of democratic governance, coupled with favorable market access to other African countries in the region, as well as further afield in Europe and the US, makes this the ideal place to set up shop if you want to capture Africa's dynamism. We hope that you've enjoyed following our journey here as we get a taste of all that Botswana has to offer. And we hope that you'll join us next time to find out where we go on location.